Hello viewers, I'm your host Pratiksha Mishra with another episode of South Asia Focus. Let's begin the show. In a world that is increasingly interconnected, the dreams of a developed, self-sustained India have gained unprecedented traction on the global stage. This vision, often referred to as Viksit Bharat or Developed India, is not just a political slogan or an aspiration confined to policymakers in New Delhi. It has evolved into a dynamic movement that is actively shaped by global investors and Indian states alike. Take a look.
The vision of Developed India envisions a future of high living standards, world-class infrastructure, strong economic growth, and a higher Human Development Index. Focusing on key sectors like education, healthcare, infrastructure, governance, and innovation, it aims to make India self-reliant and a global economic powerhouse. Indian states are pivotal in this mission, especially in attracting global investments. A prime example is the Advantage Assam 2.0 Investment and Infrastructure Summit 2025, the largest investment initiative in the northeastern state of Assam. Showcasing its geostrategic strengths, Assam welcomed global semiconductor firms and signed MOUs with industry leaders from Singapore, Malaysia, and Japan, further strengthening international partnerships.
मुझे गर्व है कि असम सेमीकंडक्टर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में भी भारत के एक महत्वपूर्ण सेंटर के रूप में विकसित हो रहा है। कुछ महीने पहले असम के जागीरोड में टाटा सेमीकंडक्टर असेंबली एंड टेस्ट फैसिलिटी की शुरुआत हुई है। ये प्लांट आने वाले समय में पूरे नॉर्थ ईस्ट में टेक्नोलॉजिकल ग्रोथ को प्रमोट करने वाला है।
Assam, renowned for its tea gardens and petroleum, is expanding into agriculture, food processing, tourism, and information technology. In the financial year 2023-24, its gross state domestic product grew by 19.5%, reflecting strong leadership and investor-friendly policies.
It is with a great pride that I announce today the Adani Group's commitment to invest rupees 50,000 crores in Assam. Our investments will span across airports, aerocities, city gas distributions, transmissions, cement, and road projects. Honorable Prime Minister and Honorable Chief Ministers, Assam is on a path to greatness, and at the Adani Group, we are honored to walk this path alongside you. This is our commitment, this is our vision, and this is the promise we make today to you, to Assam, and the future we'll build together.
India's states are driving progress, with the Global Investors Summit 2025 in Bhopal positioning Madhya Pradesh as a global investment hub. The two-day event saw agreements worth $370 billion signed across diverse sectors, marking a significant step towards fostering international business collaboration.
Many companies are interested and looking into it. India is not without competition. There are other countries in Asia which are also looking for investments, and now we have to guide the companies how they can find the best place to invest, to produce, and many of these companies are then also integrating their production in India into their global supply chains.
To realize the vision of Developed India, the Indian states are partnering with global organizations to drive sustainable urban development. enhancing resilience to climate change. With support from the World Bank, states like Madhya Pradesh are advancing urban infrastructure, fostering long-term growth and sustainability.
I was privileged to have a meeting with the Honorable Chief Minister and the Chief Secretary, and we talked about how our support has helped move the urban agenda in 30 urban local bodies and 9 cities, where through our urban development project we've been able to help connect 400,000 people to urban water supply and sanitation, and another 170,000 people will be connected soon.
Odisha, one of India's coastal states, recently hosted the Global Utkarsh Odisha Conclave to attract global investments, while the northern state of Uttarakhand held its Global Investors Summit in 2023. These events highlight the crucial role of Indian states in realizing the vision of a developed India and positioning the country as a global economic powerhouse. With investment-friendly policies, infrastructure development, skill enhancement, and sectoral specialization, states are attracting significant global investments. Collaboration between central and state governments alongside private sector participation is essential for building a prosperous and developed India.
Moving on. The voices of the people in Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan continue to be ignored as they protest against the Water and Power Development Authority over unfulfilled promises regarding the Diamar Bhasha Dam project remain unresolved. Despite repeated assurances, the affected communities still face ongoing issues, including the lack of fair compensation and proper resettlement. A report.
Pakistan-occupied Gilgit-Baltistan has long been subjected to political and economic marginalization by the Pakistani state. The region remains constitutionally ambiguous, denied representation in Pakistan's National Assembly and Senate. POJB lacks autonomy, with major decisions regarding its governance dictated by Islamabad. The Diamar Bhasha Dam project, initially proposed in early 2000, was meant to be a cornerstone of Pakistan's energy and water management strategy. However, rather than benefiting the local population, it has only increased their suffering, displacing thousands without adequate compensation.
कल से बल्कि 2 दिनों से दियामर के अंदर पूरी पब्लिक बिला तफरीक कौमियत, बिला तफरीक अलाकियत इस वक्त रोड के अंदर सरापा एहतजाज है। सिर्फ एक ही बात उनका डिमांड है कि वापडा जो हमारे साथ ज़्यादती कर रही है वो ज़्यादती न करें और हमें हमारा हक मिलना चाहिए, जिसमें बहुत सारे मुतालिबात हैं। जो वापडा 2010 में मुआहदा उन्होंने किया उस पर अमल दरामद नहीं हुआ, फिर मुलाजमतों के हवाले से 2021 में वहाँ पे मुआहदे हुए, उस पर वो अमल दरामद नहीं हो रहा।
The ongoing protests revolve around WAPDA's repeated failure to deliver on its commitment. At the heart of the unrest lies the promise of 6 canal of agricultural land to displaced families, an assurance made in 2010 and repeated in 2021, yet never fulfilled. Despite multiple rounds of negotiation, neither the federal government nor the local authorities have provided any meaningful resolution.
जो ज़्यादतियाँ वहाँ हो रही है वो अब एक बम की सूरत में आके पूरे दियामर के अंदर वो फटने के करीब है। लोग केकेएच के साइड पे बैठे हुए और ज़िम्मेदारी का मुजाहरा कर रहे हैं। हालांकि केकेएच यहाँ हमारे पूरे चीन को वो लिंक कर रहा होता है और हमारी माशियत का एक तरीके से बेस यही केकेएच का रास्ता है शहर कराकुरम का, और इतनी ज़िम्मेदारी का एहसास कर रहे हैं रियासत की खातिर कि बंद करके ब्लॉक करके पाकिस्तान को नुकसान न पहुंचाया जाए। इसलिए उन्होंने पूरी रात केकेएच के साइड पे बैठ के धरना दिया हुआ है और इस वक्त भी वो साइड पे रोड उन्होंने खोला हुआ है। इससे बड़ी जिम्मेदारी का मुजाहरा तो नहीं हो सकता, और बार बार वो चीख रहे हैं कि हमें हमारा हक दो, जिससे वो न गवर्नमेंट टच से मस हो रही है न वापडा टच से मस हो रहा है।
While POGB is home to vast natural resources, including water reserves, crucial for Pakistan energy needs, its people see little to no benefit. The Diyamar Bhasha Dam, a multi-billion-dollar project, is expected to generate 4,500 megawatts of electricity. Yet, POGB still remains underdeveloped, with inadequate electric supply and a crumbling infrastructure. Despite the strategic importance, the region lacks proper school, healthcare facilities, and job opportunities, further pushing the local people into economic hardship.
This WAPDA, which is called the Water and Power Development Authority, has actually become a water grab, annexation, plunder, displacement, and appropriation organization. They are grabbing the water of the people of Gilgit-Baltistan. They are annexing the land because the land on which this dam is being built is basically the land of Gilgit-Baltistan. But the generators are going to be fixed in KPK, which is also originally the land of Gilgit-Baltistan. Can you see the level of fraud and exploitation that the people of Gilgit-Baltistan are suffering? So that the income generated from that dam does not count as the income of Gilgit-Baltistan, but as the income of Pakistan.
Pakistan's failure to address the grievances of POGB is not new. The region suffers from chronic political underrepresentation, economic stagnation, and a lack of basic services. While POGB's strategic location and resources are exploited for Pakistan's national projects, its people remain marginalized and voiceless.
Nothing has happened. Nobody has given employment from the local area. They are all coming from Punjab and KPK. And that has caused a lot of resentment. And the political and economic marginalization of the people of POJK has now peaked. You cannot find jobs there. You cannot find even political representation. Can you believe it that for 77 years, Pakistan has not allowed political representation to the people of POGB, Pakistani occupied Gilgit-Baltistan, in the National Assembly. All decisions regarding economy, even political decisions, are not made in Gilgit-Baltistan. They are made in Islamabad. People are accused Islamabad of treating Gilgit-Baltistan as its colony.
Demonstrators have maintained a peaceful stance, conducting overnight sit-ins along the critical Karakoram highway without obstructing traffic. The protesters have issued a stern warning. If their demands are not met, they will escalate their movement with further disruptions expected. The Hakook Do Dam Banao protesters have set deadline for authorities, demanding immediate action, failing which large demonstrations and potential roadblocks could paralyze the region.
Time now for Asia This Week, the stories from across the continent.
South Korea's fertility rate rose in 2024 for the first time in 9 years. Supported by an increase in marriages, preliminary data showed on Wednesday, February 26, in a sign that the country's demographic crisis might have turned a corner. The country's fertility rate, the average number of babies a woman is expected to have during her reproductive life, stood at 0.75 in 2024, according to Statistics Korea. In 2023, the birth rate fell for the 8th consecutive year to 0.72, the lowest in the world, from 1.24 in 2015, raising concerns over the economic shock to society from such a rapid pace. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov arrived in Tehran on February 25th for talks with Iranian officials, according to Iranian state media. The visit comes just after the Moscow held preliminary discussions with the US following Donald Trump's return to the White House. During his one-day trip, Lavrov met with Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi to discuss a range of regional and bilateral issues, the report stated. The Chinese New Year celebration was recently held in Yokohama city, featured stunning performances and beautifully decorated lanterns. Yokohama Chinatown welcomed the New Year with traditional ceremonial performances. In the mid-19th century, the Japanese government opened the country to the world, leading many Chinese immigrants from mainland China and Taiwan to settle in Yokohama and integrate with Japanese society. The Chinese New Year ceremony began in 1986 as a symbol of harmonious and inclusive civil society beyond national origins. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the event was suspended, but due to strong public demand, it was revived and has grown more vibrant each year.
日本のこの横浜中華街は世界一の中華街と呼ばれているので、今年は初の試みが多くて、今日行われるナイトパレードウィズランタン、指針、白骨、朱雀、玄武、青龍が一緒にパレードを練り歩く。イベントが途切れないよう力を合わせて頑張っていきたいと思っています。
The Chinese New Year event strengthened the bond among volunteer performers and promoted a peaceful society, a feeling that could be shared by all attendees.
Let's now talk about the press freedom in Pakistan, which is facing an all-out assault. Journalists are grappling with censorship, legal threats and physical danger as the government tightens its grip on media. In response, Pakistan's largest journalists' union is preparing to launch legal actions and protest after Ramadan to defend the fundamental right to a free press.
Press freedom in Pakistan is under siege as the government intensifies its efforts to silence dissenting voices. The Pakistan Federal Union of Journalists has announced its plans to take a stand against the government's increasingly aggressive push to silence critical voices. They are planning a series of protests and legal actions after Ramadan to safeguard media freedom. The union condemned recently passed PECA law that aimed at curbing press freedom, disguised as measures to combat fake news. The union stressed that the law threatens democracy itself. Recently, hundreds of journalists took to the streets, protesting the law that intends to regulate social media content. The law is seen by many as an attempt to silence free expression and clamp down on the digital space, a vital platform for independent journalism.
Under that new law which government is trying to impose, the basic fundamental rights are basically taken away from the people of Pakistan regarding freedom of expression. If a journalist asks any question and that question is not liked by the rulers or even by the head of a parliamentary party, you can be picked up, you can go to jail for 3 years.
In addition to legal measures, the union is preparing to take this fight to the global stage, reaching out to the international organizations like the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights and global media watchdogs. They also revealed an unexpected and strategic protest plan designed to surprise the government and the public alike. After Ramadan, the union promises to take to the streets with a series of actions aimed at grabbing attention and rallying global support. In the last protest only, journalists had made it clear that they were prepared to endure a long struggle.
ये आज एहतजाज नहीं था, ये प्रेस फ्रीडम मूवमेंट का आगाज़ हुआ है और अब इसके मुख्तलिफ मराहल होंगे। जदोजहद के मुख्तलिफ तरीके इख्तियार करते हुए इसका इख्तिताम वो होगा कि हम पाकिस्तान भर की तमाम पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ को, ह्यूमन राइट एक्टिविस्ट को, शहरी आज़ादियों पर यकीन रखने वाले लोगों को और तमाम यूजर्स को मिलकर फिर एक ऐसे एहतजाजी धरने का ऐलान करेंगे जो पार्लियामेंट हाउस के बाहर दिया जाएगा। और तारीख जब हम वो देंगे वो धरना शुरू करने की होगी, ख़ात्मे के नहीं होगी। उस एहतजाजी धरने के बाद या हमारे जनाजे उठेंगे या हमारे पास नोटिफिकेशन होगा कि ये काला कानून वापस हो गया है।
The coming days will reveal just how far Pakistan's journalists are willing to go to protect press freedom, and whether the government's tightening grip will be challenged in the streets and beyond.
Uttarakhand's healthcare transformation is a shining example of resilience and innovation in the face of challenges. With the government's focused efforts to upgrade infrastructure, implement comprehensive healthcare schemes like Ayushman Bharat and utilize digital technology, the state is ensuring healthcare access for all, even in its remotest corners. Take a look.
Uttarakhand, with its majestic Himalayas and rugged terrain, is a land of beauty and challenges. Providing healthcare to its remote communities has long required innovation and resilience. However, the Uttarakhand government has been turning this challenge into an opportunity by continuously working to strengthen healthcare infrastructure and services. From upgrading hospitals with state-of-the-art facilities to ensuring every citizen benefits from government healthcare schemes, effective measures are being implemented to enhance healthcare accessibility across the state.
स्वास्थ्य सेवाएं 2014 से पहले बीमार थी, आज हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में स्वास्थ्य के क्षेत्र में भी अभूतपूर्व रूप से विकास तेजी आगे हो रहा है.
The Uttarakhand government has effectively implemented central healthcare schemes while successfully executing its own state-level policies. These include the Ayushman Bharat scheme, Atal Ayushman Uttarakhand scheme, and the state government health scheme, which provide free treatment and health insurance benefits to economically weaker sections of society. Through the Ayushman Bharat scheme, millions of beneficiaries in Uttarakhand can access free treatment at over 26,000 hospitals nationwide.
हमारे को आयुष्मान कार्ड से जो है तो सर एडमिट होना डिस्ट्रिक्ट हॉस्पिटल चंपावत में एडमिट हुए थे. आयुष्मान कार्ड से हमें पूरा इलाज फ्री हुआ और चाची की जो हाथ पाँव में दिक्कत थी उसका पूरा इलाज जो है तो फ्री में हुआ और मैं सरकार का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
मैंने अपनी मदर को आयुष्मान कार्ड के थ्रू एडमिट करवाया है, जिसमें निःशुल्क इलाज की पूरी सेवा है. ये कार्ड अप्लाई होने के बाद जितनी भी मेडिसिन्स हैं, जो भी सर्विस है वो फ्री में, मतलब निःशुल्क सेवा है इसके बाद.
So far, around 2.5 lakh patients have benefited from this scheme. In this digital era, the Uttarakhand government has further empowered healthcare services by implementing the Ayushman Bharat digital mission. Now, citizens are being provided with an Ayushman Bharat health account ID, which ensures their medical records are securely stored digitally. So far, approximately 6.9 million Ayushman Bharat health account IDs have been created.
आयुष्मान भारत जो स्वास्थ्य योजना है उसमें उत्तराखंड सरकार ने पहल ये की है कि जब से ये लागू हुआ था उसमें हम लोगों ने यूनिवर्सलाइजेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट हम लोग लेके चले हैं. इसका मतलब ये है कि कोई भी व्यक्ति जिसके पास बेसिक राशन कार्ड हो वो एलिजिबल हो जाए.
The government, in collaboration with NGOs and similar organizations, has launched a unique initiative to provide free dialysis services to those in need. This initiative not only brings quality healthcare services closer to patients, but also eliminates the need for them to travel to big cities for treatment.
मैं यहाँ पे डायलिसिस करा रहा हूँ 2 साल से और यहाँ पे सर बहुत अच्छी सुविधाएं हैं हमारे लिए, खासकर क्योंकि हम देहरादून में इतना वो नहीं कर पाते, खर्चा इतना सहन वो नहीं कर पाते. तो सर जब से यहाँ पे खुला हमारे लिए काफ़ी सुविधा हो रही है.
To provide better healthcare services, promote medical research and develop new treatments, the Uttarakhand government is establishing medical colleges. For example, a government medical college is being constructed in Pithoragarh, which will benefit not only local students but also the general public by providing advanced medical facilities. Currently, Uttarakhand has 276 active hospitals, including both government and private institutions. The government has also taken significant steps to equip government hospitals with modern medical facilities. For instance, CT scan facilities are now available in almost every government hospital, saving both time and money for the people.
पहले यहाँ हॉस्पिटल होने के बाद भी लोगों को बहुत दूर दूर जाना पड़ता था छोटी छोटी चीज़ों के लिए, जो आज की डेट में चंपावत जिला अस्पताल में लोगों को मिल रही हैं तथा हर चीज़ की सुविधा यहाँ उपलब्ध है.
Through these innovative efforts, the Uttarakhand government is driving a transformative revolution in the state's healthcare sector. The effective implementation of government schemes, strategic use of digital technology, and delivery of high-quality healthcare in remote areas are strengthening Uttarakhand's healthcare infrastructure. These measures not only enhance healthcare facilities for citizens today, but also lay the foundation for a healthier future for the people of Uttarakhand.
With resilience and innovation, Uttarakhand is paving the way for a healthier tomorrow. And with that, we come to the end of this week's episode. See you next week. Till then, goodbye and take care.